There is something in your house that is holding you back, and no one has ever told you this. You pray, fast, ask for answers, and everything continues the same way. Life is at a standstill. The same cycles, the same holes, as if an invisible force was pulling everything back. And you even suspect that something is wrong, but you don't know where. You just feel it. A strange weight, a restlessness in your spirit, as if something was out of place. And it is, because not everything in your house came from God. Not everything you keep was told by Him to keep. Sometimes it's just an old gift, an inherited object, a memory that seems innocent, but that spiritually carries a legality, a point of contact, and the spiritual world doesn't need much. All it takes is a gap, a concession, and everything starts to get stuck. This is no coincidence. It has a root. And until you expose it to the light, nothing will truly unblock it. If this content has already touched you, leave a like, subscribe, and hold on tight, because what's coming next is strong. Comment below, "I'm going to unlock my house." This could be the beginning of your turnaround. What you let into your home shapes what happens in your life. Sometimes life doesn't stop because you stopped. It stops because you allowed the wrong things to stay. And the worst part is that you don't even notice many of these things. They came in slowly, as gifts, as souvenirs, as decorative objects. But they're not just items, they're access points, they're spiritual entrances. Because in the spiritual world, everything communicates. Everything carries an environment, a weight, a presence. And when you let certain things occupy the space in your home, you also allow them to interfere in your spiritual environment. And God is holy. He doesn't cohabit with what contaminates. It's your home, but whoever you invite to live in it determines what you reap. Maybe what's stopping your life isn't something you did, but something you let stay. Something that sneaked in and stayed there without being confronted. Comment here if you've ever felt this strange discomfort without knowing where it came from. There are things in your home that seem like decoration, but they carry a curse. Sometimes it's a beautiful image, an ancient statue, an exotic symbol, a strange book, a souvenir from a trip, an item someone gave you. You keep it because you think it's pretty, because it came from someone special, because it has sentimental value. But the spiritual world doesn't respect sentimentality. It obeys principles. And if something has been consecrated, invoked, manipulated, cursed, it hasn't lost its weight just because it's moved. It continues to carry the same spiritual charge, and as long as it's there, it continues to influence the environment. It's like a camouflaged altar. You don't even know it, but it's receiving silent approval every day, just for being there. And the enemy operates where it finds legality. It's not always because of what you do. Sometimes it's because of what you protect. Comment here if you've ever had to get rid of something that seemed harmless, but made you feel an oppression that you couldn't explain. You pray for deliverance, but the atmosphere in your home is still saying the opposite. The words rise, but the spiritual climate weighs heavily. And it's not because God doesn't want to act, it's because there are silent voices shouting louder than your prayer. Voices of things you've kept. Environments are not neutral. They absorb, they store, and you feel it. You enter your home and something seems to suck you in. A tiredness for no reason. A sadness that doesn't come from within, but covers you like a wet cloth. You bend your knee, and it seems like your prayer doesn't go past the ceiling. Because the spiritual aspect of your home is not aligned with heaven. God answers consecrated environments, surrendered environments, But if your home is full of unconscious agreements, your prayer hits an invisible wall. It's not about what you talk to God about. It's about what you tolerate while you're talking. Comment here if you've ever entered a place and felt that something was wrong. Even though no one told you anything, the enemy doesn't need to break down doors when you left the key. He doesn't invade. He occupies. Wherever he finds legal space, he settles in. And the problem is that this space often comes disguised as custom, as a gift, as tradition, as habit. It's a series you watch without filtering. A song that repeats spiritual agreements. An inherited object with hidden weight. A practice that seems harmless but leaves gaps. The spiritual is legalistic. It moves where there is authorization. Even if you're not aware of it, permission exists when you don't confront it. And what is not confronted is consented to. So you live stuck and think that God is taking too long, when in fact there is something inside you maintaining the blockage. It's not about being perfect. It's about being sensitive and obedient and clean. Because where there is hidden dirt, there is hidden dominion. Comment here if this word is reminding you of something you let in and never really stopped to question. God doesn't just want to bless you, He wants to clean your house. Because there are things you ask for, but you still can't receive. Because the place where you live is not prepared to sustain the blessing. The blessing requires an environment, and God doesn't pour something holy over structures that protect the profane. Sometimes heaven is ready, but the house is still in disarray. And He doesn't want to give you just a one-off victory. He wants to align you so you can live in freedom. There are things you've been asking for years, and the delay isn't in heaven. It's in what you still haven't had the courage to confront inside. It's in what you've tolerated for too long. It's in what you turned a blind eye to, thinking it was an exaggeration, when in fact it was legal. God is not in a hurry, but He is zealous. And when He starts to expose, it's because He's ready to clean. Comment here if you feel that God is pushing you towards this process of purification, even if it hurts, even if it's hard, even if it messes everything up before you can organize it. Now that you've heard all this, there's no way to pretend you didn't see it. God brought you here because He wants to begin a deep cleansing, not only in your home, but in your soul. Because there are things you've prayed for, cried out for, and the answers seem to be coming. But today it became clear. The resistance wasn't in heaven. It was in the environment. It was in the silent concessions. It was in what you tolerated without realizing it. But God is calling you to a new cycle, a cycle of alignment, of purification, of environments that carry presence and not weight. He will show you what needs to go. He will give you the strength to break through. And when you obey, you will feel the atmosphere in your home change. You will feel lightness, clarity, peace. Because where the Spirit of the Lord dwells, there is freedom. And this freedom begins with decision. If this word made sense to you, like it, subscribe, and don't miss the next video. In it, I will show you how to identify spiritual signs within your own home. You will be surprised by what is closer than you think.